Happy Wealth Wednesday. Maya, I'm so excited to have you here, a multiple time entrepreneur, a beverage extraordinaire, just so inspirational as a person, and just excited to hear about your journey into building Koia and then the new things that you have coming up the pipeline. So I would love if you would just kick us off with a little bit of an intro to sharing everything about you. It would be great.
As mentioned, I'm a second time beverage founder. I'm working on my second company. My previous company I started at the ripe age of 23. That's Koia. It's a plant-based protein. Basically, me and my partner, we grew that for about 3 years before we really started raising money. We got really lucky and had some customers who became angel investors, but learned very hard lessons in the beginning. And then we were ended up like raising a Series A, bringing on like a CEO, learned a lot from that. 7 years in that company, and recently like exit, even though it's still going on. And then kind of saw it as an opportunity to take some cash out and reapply it to a new business and bet on myself again. So that's what I'm working on now. And with that, I was able to diversify and invest in a company that I really believed in, and also take on an advisor role, and also invest in fund as an LP. And yeah, so this is kind of like my journey and what I'm up to right now.
What was your first ever investment, if you can remember it, and what or who got you started?
I guess my first ever like investment would have been like the first company that I started. I didn't have any cash at all, and I think I would look at it as an investment in myself, like deciding to quit school and quit my job and to go full fledged into this business. So that would be like my first investment. And I think my first official investment recently was in this bar company called Mezcla. It's also something that I really believe I could add value in, being in the plant-based space for like over 7 years. So that was like my first cash investment as far as like the traditional sense.
Cool, really interesting. Was that like a venture capital investment or what kind of investment was it?
Angel, it's an angel investment. So in addition to receiving equity from being an advisor, I decided to double up on that. I guess you could say double dipping and also invest cash. It was very, very small investment, but it was just a way for me showing that like I really believe in the company and the mission. So that's why I decided to double. And I really wanted a lot of equity to start like getting at the ground level and really push that. I've been able to like push that in front of other like VCs and angels, and with that same like passion.
How and why did you get into your space? Like, how did you end up being an entrepreneur, an advisor, an investor? How did this all happen?
I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life when I was 22, 23. And when I met my business partner, he was already an entrepreneur, but he had a painting company and he was deciding to build out juice bars in grocery stores. So we decided to actually like create a physical product and start selling it to stores. The product, it sold well, but when we started putting out line extensions, protein drinks was what really sold well, and we doubled down on that. And I think like which what kept me going on that route was seeing that I was actually helping people by solving a problem that was dear to me, which was me being lactose intolerant, and having a solution to that was plant-based, and also providing protein to people who have plant-based diets. So through hearing how I was helping people and changing people's lives, I really was like, this feels like something that I could do for the rest of my life and continue to help people in multiple ways by, either starting food and beverage companies or investing in beverage companies and being a strategic investor, adding value from that end, and really just, I guess, growing the space from all aspects.
What role do you play in the wealth space and why is it important?
Being, I guess, an inspiring figure, being very young. I don't come from wealth at all. I've had everything I have now is from the ground up. Had to learn everything the hard way. So showing people that you could be young, you could be a woman of color, and still succeed has been an important role for me.
And what do you think is the most exciting thing you've learned? Something you'd want people to know?
I think the most exciting thing is that, never be intimidated if you don't have the cash to make a difference, because there's other ways. Like, your knowledge is your biggest asset. Also, if you're raising money is like dating. So you always want to attract the best energy, know what people's intentions are up front. Yeah, and just like have like a good network and support system around you at all times.
Do you have any kind of tips or tricks on that dating front? Are there a few like lessons learned?
There are some people that I think the people that come off very strong and like know it all and like they try to intimidate you. Those are usually the people who don't know anything. Always believe in the knowledge that you have. I think like a lot of women in particular, when they go to raise money, they're very like insecure, or they feel like they can come off as too strong and too intimidating to a man. Hold your ground, and if you believe in what you're doing, that shows. It's always a game of like chicken, right? It's like who can have the bigger balls at the table. So I think women add a lot of value from all different perspectives. I mean, we bear children and still can hold down a business. So I think that's like the best thing the best advice I can give is just like, don't, like with men, when you're dating, they always try to show their flashy cars and their money and things like that. But it's like, what's really on the inside and what are your intentions long term?
And you started off sort of explaining a little bit about how you're personally thinking about being an investor as well as an entrepreneur. Sometimes I think people might feel like those are in conflict or like not possible. Can you tell us a bit more about that and how you're thinking about it?
As mentioned before, I like made a small investment into a company I believed in, and also like made a small investment as an LP. But now, as I'm starting a new company, I'm really like thinking I shouldn't be investing more of my money. I should probably be like holding a safety fund, as I'm not paying myself a salary right now. And like, what if the company gets into trouble in the future and I need to, put more money into my own business? So the strategy that I've come to is to, knowing that I've had all this knowledge in the space, I could be a scout for VCs. So it's an approach of, hey, like, could I bring you deals and get carry from those deals? So it's like equity if you choose to go move forward with the deal. And this is my way of adding value, not issuing cash that I need for myself, and also getting equity in multiple companies. Life planning in a very strategic way.
Really cool, like a cool way of diversifying. The second time I've heard about the scout programs and the ability to still participate as an investor. I think a lot of times entrepreneurs can feel like they can't invest anymore or diversify. So super interesting. Do you have any tips or tricks or resources about how you would become a scout?
I've been doing a lot of networking in these spaces, and it's just like, it's always a game of like, how can I add value to you? I think what I've seen, especially in my space, a lot of these VCs aren't operators, but they see a lot of deal flow. There's really a lot of value in being an operator and having that knowledge from that perspective. So just, I guess, like, setting up, if it's something you really vibe with and you set up a meeting and you kind of like ask them first, like, hey, what are you seeing? And just kind of like start the conversation. And then I guess once you build the relationship, what I've done is like, once you build the relationship, and maybe it's like, hey, have you like seen this deal? And like, I get a lot of deal flow. What do you think about me being a scout? It's kind of like that, very like smooth, but becoming a friend first, someone that you can trust, and then showing them how you can add value, then act like telling them like, hey, like asking them formally, can I add value to you? You now see what my network looks like. You now know the knowledge that I have in this space. Can I add value to you and also profit from that value?
What advice would you give to someone getting started? Maybe even somebody trying to get involved as an angel investor per se, or the things that stood out to you of like investors who really added value, angels who really added value, or how to get started in that way?
As an entrepreneur, from that perspective, I always look at strategic partners. It's like, how many phone calls a month are you going to take with me, or can I not get in touch with you? Do you have an extensive network of where I could probably get more money aside from just the check that you're writing? And is that network do they have like different partners in the space where it's just like a plug and play? Because as an advisor, for me, I think the most value that I add to, aside from being like an experienced operator, I've never been in the snack space. I'm more in a beverage space, but a lot of the partners that I've had can also help the snack space. So it's just always like making intros, constantly talking about the product. So I think it's just really like, yeah, how can you as an investor, how can you add value as an entrepreneur? Can this person add value in multiple ways? Am I able to speak to them, or are they just gonna write a check and then I'll never hear from them again? Or the other end is the helicopter, kind of like a helicopter parent. Are they always like bothering me? Are they too opinionated in a way that I can't be an operator and they don't trust me? Because then why are they investing me in the first place? So it's just like kind of that perfect balance is what I really look for. And that's what you also want to be, is that perfect balance.
Is there anything else we should know? Especially like, how do we stay in touch with you? How do we see what you're building, what you're investing in? Where can we find all this?
I guess the best way is probably LinkedIn. My name is Maya French, or Instagram, of course, Maya J French. That's Maya J, and French as the language.
Fantastic. And I can't wait to just keep in touch and also try all the new flavors and all the things that you're working on. I'm a big fan of Koia. I always get the banana chocolate protein shake. It's the best thing at Erewhon by far. So thanks so much for joining and sharing. Just so great to know you and to have you part of this incredible group of women.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so great to be a part of this community.